Indiana Jones was set to go down as one of the greatest trilogies of all time. It was solid all the way across the boards and had a character that is now solidified as an icon in movie history. And then 2008 came along. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is a hot mess. Fixing it is going to be an incredibly tall order, and I'm just brave enough to try. Roll the intro. I am Lindsay, aka November Pixie. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Can I Fix It? We are talking about one of the greatest trilogies of all time, Indiana Jones. Now, there is a heated debate in movie fan lore. What is the best Indiana Jones film? I really didn't want to start a firefight this early in my comment section, but a lot of people say Raiders is, some people say Last Crusade is, there's a couple people that say Temple of Doom is. Almost nobody is saying Crystal Skull is, not yet anyway. Now, despite whatever debate that people are having, there is a common problem. You've been watching them in the wrong order. Yes, they came out, Raiders, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade. But Temple of Doom is actually a prequel. And don't bother jumping in the comments if you already knew that. That's for the people that don't know, have only seen Temple of Doom maybe once or twice. So that little movie fact is for them. Now let's get to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I cannot believe with Steven Spielberg, David Koepp, and the George Lucas on screenplay that things could go so horribly awry. There were a lot of things that didn't work. A lot. But I'm not going to pile on and say that everything is a mess. I actually want to say that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the story, is not the problem.
Aliens. Oh, snap.
You know, in movies, there's something called the suspension of disbelief. We're going into this film already suspending reality, knowing that a man who has searched for the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, calling on an archaeologist to try to retrieve an artifact that turns out to be of an alien origin, I don't really have a problem with that. The Russians and the KBG being the bad guys for a movie that's set in the 1950s, not the problem. Having a long lost love child, not the problem. So everything about the story is okay. The problem solely lies in the execution. The main problem with directors like Spielberg and George Lucas is that they started making movies in the 70s. They always had grandiose visions of what they wanted their movies to be, whether it's Indiana Jones or Star Wars. The problem was that the technology was not up to the task at the time that they started making the films. So they had to come up with creative ways. But what they didn't realize was what they didn't have and what they substituted in, and the primitive technology that they used or created themselves. They produced some of the greatest films of all time. In the case of Indiana Jones, primitive is what we needed. It was raw, it was dirty, it was amazing. And then, just like that, technology caught up with them. And in 2008, when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, oh boy, did they use it. So the big question is, can I fix it? Well, I will give it my best shot, because for everything that the story did right, I actually want this film to be more in line with its predecessor. I don't want this film to be the black sheep of the Indiana Jones collection. So you know what? We're gonna try. We all knew we were in trouble when this happened. They're out in the desert. Could we not get real gophers? Oh boy, we're 15 seconds into the film and we're already in trouble. You know, the car chase at the very beginning with the college kids. Does it really serve a purpose? I mean, it's not a bad car chase. It's kind of fun and lighthearted. It doesn't really go anywhere. I'd be okay if one of these two things happen. Number one, bring Mutt into the car chase. He's already a greaser. Having him be in this car chase scene, that might have at least served a purpose for him to come back into the movie later. So the only way this car chase scene is going to work is if you put Mutt in there with his friends. So if we're not going to bring Mutt into it, cut it. It's gone. One thing that I just do not understand about this film is that they're on locations. They're in real places. Why in the hell does everything look like it's through a Snapchat filter? Everything is so bright and so colorful and so clean. Go! I swear, I know they're in a real place, but it looks like it's CG. So turn down the studio lights and turn down the exposure on the camera. We're in an Indiana Jones film. Indy is not this clean-cut person. I know he's older, but it's raw, it's dirty, it's in your face. Like, please go back to that. He's there, he's getting in the mud, he's getting in the dirt, he's searching for all these things. So we're gonna throw a little dirt on Indiana Jones. We know he's getting up there in age, but he needs a little dirt on him. When Indy is fighting on conveyor belts and boats and trains and airplanes and blimps, it feels real. This scene doesn't feel real to me. And seriously, this? How did that make it into the final movie? Cut it. It doesn't need to be there. The thing that always reigned true about Indiana Jones is how real it felt. Scenes like this, it looks like it's CG. It looks like they're on a green screen. They've never done this in an Indiana Jones film. Enough with the CG. Let's put them in real danger, real peril. Just don't do this. There's also this infamous scene. We get it. It's in the late 50s. Nuclear war was a very real threat. And I will admit, the setup is pretty cool. It's very visceral and it's kind of scary and it puts that fear into us. But when you suggest that he survives and doing this, never in a million years. Go back to the glory days of using practical. So for lack of a better term, we literally have to drop the bomb. I know, somewhere out there that there is this lore of Indiana Jones with his military service and all this other stuff. So I know it exists somewhere, but it's not been mentioned in any of the other Indiana Jones films. So please don't bring that part up. It's just confusing to the audience. And all you real Indiana Jones fans that know about the lore, I'm sorry. It's jarring and it doesn't make sense. It's not going to be in this movie. Sorry. And about this motorcycle chase, when they crash into Brody's statue, that is in such poor taste. Denholm Elliott had died. Get rid of it. Don't have them crash into the statue. Also, why is there so much humor in this? Jokes like this.
Want to be a good archaeologist? You gotta get out of the library!
Indiana Jones is not a comedian. Like, just cut stuff like that. And George McHale, get rid of him. He's not a good character. When he finally gets sucked up into the ship, just literally couldn't care less about him. We don't need McHale. Maybe at the very beginning, but just leave it at that. Meet up with Spalko and have Spalko be the villain. And that's it. We don't need anything else. Aliens were not the issue here. It really is not. I don't mind the fact that they're searching for aliens, but we don't need the ship taking off in the end. Again, it's unnecessary CGI. Have them go up in a beam of light. I think you're fine. So there you go. That's how I would fix Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. All we're doing is simply cutting any unnecessary CGI out. We're putting a little dose of reality amongst the suspension of disbelief. Turn down the studio lights and turn down the exposure on the cameras. We're keeping things like fights and car chases, we're keeping that real. We're going back to basics. We're either going to tie the opening car chase with the kids in back to mud, or we're cutting it out altogether. We are quite literally dropping the bomb from this movie. And for God's sakes, we're going to throw some dirt on Indiana Jones, and we're going to get him a little dirty for his last hurrah. So what did you think? Did you actually like this fix? Is there anything that you would do differently? If you did like this fix and there's another movie that you'd like me to try to fix, leave it in the comment section below. If you do like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. That does help out a lot. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I often hold polls for what my next project will be. If you do like what I do on this channel, I have a couple other episodes, such as Jumping Mediums, Victim of Franchise, and Top 5 Countdowns. Check out some of those in my playlist. And if you do like what I do on this channel, sprinkle a little pixie dust over that subscribe button. And be sure to ring the bell for all notifications about my latest videos. Until next time, wishing you peace, love, and pixie dust. Bye now.